Democratic Senator from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, joins me. Good evening, sir. Nice to have you back. And looking at Pennsylvania, it's supposed to be like the most important state to the two parties in order to become president, to get the White House. You've got two big cities. You've got Philly and you've got Pittsburgh. You've got the Eagles. You've got the Steelers. I mean, it's a big state, and everything in between is rural. So tell me, what is the strategy to win Pennsylvania when it's so closely divided?
Well, thank you. It's great to be here today. And then I just wanted to say a little back on what you said. You're absolutely right. There is, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but actually there's a lot of cities within that as well, too. I grew up in York, and that's fairly large. You have Lancaster, you have Harrisburg, you have Erie, and you have Allentown, and you have a lot of other cities as well, too. So it's not just one gigantic rural part. There's a lot of mixed kinds of communities all across Pennsylvania. And there are small rural ones, and there's, of course, big blue ones. But there's other ones like Erie. And Erie is one of the ultimate bellwether. And I fundamentally believe that whoever can carry their argument and win Erie will win Pennsylvania. And I do think who wins Pennsylvania will be the next president on that. And I fundamentally do believe that Governor Walz will be the kind of guy that will resonate there much more than my colleague in the Senate, Senator Vance, in that right now. And that's just happens to be an opinion. And now Trump won in 2016 because he actually carried Erie. And then, of course, Joe Biden won in 20, and he carried Erie as well. And when I won in 22, we had a convincing win in Erie as well, too, and I beat Dr. Oz in 22. So I think those are the kinds of bellwether kinds of counties all across Pennsylvania, like Bucks County and Erie County, are going to be where that battle's won and win. That's not going to be necessarily Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. They're going to come out big for us, but it's going to be in counties and communities like that across Pennsylvania.
Well, when you look back in history of Pennsylvania, I think it goes back to 1992. It's always been a Democratic win, except 2016, when former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton lost to former President Trump, as you noted. Why did she lose? Is it only Erie?
Well, I think that happened is that Trump he created a strong connection with people in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's undeniable as well. And he created margins in those small rural counties that Romney wasn't able to create back in 2012 as well, in the 60s, maybe touching closer to 70. But Trump did that into the 80s, and that's allowed him to scale, and he won by only about 45,000 votes. And I would like to remind everybody that it seems incredibly unlikely that he can outperform his ceiling back in 2016 before a lot of the significant amount of baggage and things happened since then. And now I fundamentally believe that Harris is going to be able to carry Pennsylvania, regardless of whoever she has chosen to be her running mate as well, too. I think if you match up Trump and Harris, which I think that's really what this is really about, and I do believe he's going to win Pennsylvania. And of course, it's going to be close, but I've been maintaining that whether it's Biden, whether it was Clinton, or whether now it's with Vice President Harris, it's going to be very close, and I do believe she's going to prevail.
Well, looking at the numbers, it's the registration's about 45% Democrat, 40% Republican, and then you've got about 11% who say they're unaffiliated with anybody. So it seems to me you need to get that 11%. I mean, they're the ones everyone needs to grab, because I assume Republicans will vote Republican and Democrats will vote Democrat. So looking at that 11% as we play the numbers game, is it inflation, immigration, drugs, employment? Tell me what is sort of or even Israel, what's the driving issue, do you think?
I think what's driving that issue is simply that fundamental question that people are going to have. It's now everybody understands the kinds of presidency that Trump was. And if somebody says, hey, I'd like 4 more years of that, what I would call that chaos and kind of instability and that kind of division, then of course they're going to vote for that. Or if some people want to continue going forward and to make more progress and to have the kind of presidency that Joe Biden has had and taking that into another direction, I think that's why people are going to come down to when they're about ready to vote on that. And that's why it's going to be close in there. And it's going to be close in that so-called blue wall, whether that Wisconsin and Michigan as well, too. That's why this is going to be a close race, just like it was in 20, and definitely like it was in 2016 there too. Yeah, I'm not expecting that it's going to be a blowout in any of those kinds of states like Georgia, or whether in Arizona, or any of those ones. The states that are going to that's going to decide who's going to be the next president. It's going to be close, and I think the argument and the kind of record Harris is bringing to this is going to be able to prevail in all of that.
Is the rule, I mean, look, you go to the grocery store, and I got to tell you, I mean, the prices are, I mean, if you get asked the question, the price is better now or 4 years ago, I think, you know, that question is to the benefit of President Trump. Are you not worried about that?
Well, I think there has been some inflation, but that's already been addressed too. But I think if you also like the fact that they pulled this through an incredible pandemic that took over 1 million American lives throughout that as well too. And now the stock market is now at all-time highs, and unemployment is down around 4%, which is an incredible complication as well too. I think if you look overall, we are in a much better place. And right now, we were living on Zoom. We wouldn't even be able to go anywhere, much of anywhere right now 4 years ago when Trump was president, because everything was in lockdown as well, because they allowed the COVID virus to go everywhere. But again, I mean, some people can agree or disagree with what I'm saying now, but I would want you to know that's watching this, that Pennsylvania is going to be close. And I do fundamentally believe that Harris-Walz is going to prevail on that. And I think if you're looking for somebody that wants a more positive kind of vision, and you want to have the kinds of, well, I want 4 more years of what we just had, or do we want to go back to that we saw 4 years back in through the Trump presidency, that's going to be that fundamental choice on there.
Well, you know, you obviously know the Pennsylvania voters better than I do. But I'll tell you, if I were a Democratic politician in Pennsylvania, I'd be real worried about the grocery prices more than anything. But I'm going to do the worst. I'm going to take the last word on that, Senator. But I want to invite you back anytime you want to come, sir.
Oh yeah, well, I just want you to understand, this was a very fair interview, and allowed us to exchange our views in all of this as well. And again, that's what I stand by everything that I've said, that it is going to be close. But at the end of the day, I think the Harris-Walz message is going to prevail, and that's what Pennsylvania is looking for. And that's why I fundamentally believe Pennsylvania will pick the president, and that's why Harris is going to be our next president.
All right, well, I'll come back, because I think my home state, Wisconsin, is going to pick the president. But you and I, we can fight about the Packers and the Steelers and the Eagles and Wisconsin versus Pennsylvania. We'll come back and we'll talk about it. There's a lot to do between now and November. Thank you, sir, for joining me.
Yeah, well, have me back again, and thank you for having me.